Persona 5 was originally created back in 2016 by P Studio, one of the creative departments of the publisher Atlus. This was a beloved title, touted as one of the best role-playing games ever made in that time. A very in-depth combat system and various ways to build your party, a stylish and unique UI, and an OST that goes so hard that every YouTuber to this day still uses them for their background music. Atlus knew that they struck gold, and they started to milk this IP until they could wring it dry. Persona 5 the animation, Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, Persona 5 Strikers, Persona Q2 the new Cinema Labyrinth, Persona 5 Tactica, and now we have Persona 5 The Phantom X being developed by Black Wings Game Studio and published by Perfect World in China and South Korea. This is a Persona 5 gacha game. Gacha, for those who are new to the term, is a mechanic found in video games, usually mobile games, that involves a random reward system similar to the Japanese capsule toy machines, gashapon or gachapon. And gacha in mobile games usually refer to pulling the heroes you use in your teams at an extremely low rate, including sometimes a weapon. Gacha games are gambling games with one of the worst monetization practices in the industry. Weaponizing FOMO and hiding the true cost of these characters, you pull through multiple layers of nonsensical currency items which you buy in odd quantities that leaves you with leftover currencies, forcing more FOMO on you to spend more to use up the currency you got left. You can already tell what my thoughts are on gacha games. Don't get me wrong, I've been playing these types of games for a near decade now, and I have also fallen into the trap of spending on them, and I barely got myself out. But even still, I do find some of these games fun, like Wuthering Waves or Wizardry, for an example. So when Persona 5 X finally released, I decided to give it a go and see whether or not this was a great use of the IP, and whether it is a fantastic game in and of itself, or if it's just a sad cash grab to squeeze Persona 5 one last time to ensure Atlus could get every single drop they could. And overall, I have mixed feelings about this game. Starting with the story, we actually start out in the same opening mission we did in Persona 5, escaping through the casino as Joker, where at the end, we're accosted by another figure, and right when he is about to shoot us, we wake up and lo and behold, we're actually playing the character who attacked Joker, Nagisa Kameshiro. The whole premise of the story is that the human consciousness is collected together in a giant amalgamation of emotions, and someone out there is trying to manipulate it for their own personal goals. We see this in the people around us who seem to lack any and all desire, hopes, and dreams. Then there are the people who instead have their darkest desires brought up to the front, losing their inhibitions and acting on whatever weird thing they've been hiding away. We call these people menaces. So you, as the hero, meet a talking owl who takes you on an adventure through the metaverse, which is an alternative mirror universe to reality. In this metaverse, you'll be fighting people's shadows who are an existence of pure thought and energy. Some shadows get powered up, which causes the dark desires and menaces to come forward. This makes menaces the biggest target for you. You'll have to raid their palace within the metaverse and steal their treasure to calm that shadow and hopefully restore desire and hope to the people around him, as well as make him turn himself in for being such a creep. If you've played Persona 5, you can already tell that this is a rehash of that game. In the original, you play as Joker, who meets a talking cat who goes into palaces to steal their treasure to again wake up these menaces to fix the world's consciousness again. I didn't expect Persona 5 X to have any groundbreaking story twists or plots, so I can't really complain about how they went about it. It's just more Persona 5, but in an alternative universe, which is great, especially for the fans of the series. I enjoyed a bit of the story, but the amount of dialogue that was in the game was too much for me, and it started to drone on and my eyes would glaze over, which I do remember the original game having this kind of storytelling, which is extremely outdated and a very poor form of storytelling. To that point, I gotta say, other than the nice cutscenes that they have, the rest of the game looks really, really bad. Persona 5 X uses the Unity engine instead of Atlus's GFD engine, which is fine, because I absolutely hate their proprietary engine. After playing both Persona 5 and Metaphor, I still believe that those games are visually disgusting, with boring linear map design, poor character designs, and dreadful animation quality, which I wholly attribute to the GFD engine. So after learning that Unity was used instead, I thought there was more hope in the visual department for P5X, but of course, as expected, they also dropped the ball here, which I can't really blame Black Wing for because they wanted to make sure that the game looked like Persona 5, since it's literally a Persona 5 spin-off game. So if you're thinking of getting into P5X, don't expect any groundbreaking visuals because this game is pretty damn ugly. One other issue with the GFD engine is the controls. Persona 5 and Metaphor had one of the worst movements in video games I've ever played. Just running around the maps with clunky controls and the irritating obstacle maneuvering was just a dreadful experience. It was like I was playing a game from 2006. Do remember that Metaphor came out in 2024 and it felt like ass to play, especially on the PC port. Although I do love Metaphor, it is a wonderful game, but movement is just dreadful. And since P5X is a spin-off of Persona 5, expect to experience the same clunky movements and controls, but somehow even worse. I can't even express how annoyed I am at the button scheme on the PC for combat. Nothing is intuitive, especially when you're trying to select your attacks and the enemies to target. It's a very jarring experience and probably best to just use a controller, which just shows how disappointing the development team for P5X is if they can't even get a turn-based combat control scheme correct. But okay, controls aside, how does combat compare to the original game? You would expect them to use the same system as Persona 5, but they have actually changed things quite a bit. Since this is a gacha game, you will have a chance to pull various different heroes from different universes with their own persona, each with 4 different abilities and an ultimate. You won't be able to switch the skills like you would in the usual Persona games, so instead of changing around the abilities of a certain character to fit your party, you would instead pull and build a completely different hero to insert them into that specific team instead. This is a gacha game, so it makes sense that they would limit the build variety of the characters, forcing you to pull different heroes to create different teams. You are still able to switch out the main character's persona like you do in Persona 5, so there's that at least. Combat still has the same weakness exploiting system where after you knock your enemies down, you can follow up with an all-out attack, which is a fantastic system in my opinion. Problem here is they made it so the enemy's weakness is already known to you, so you don't get the chance to search for it yourself, which is a shame because I did enjoy that discovery part of combat in the original game. Still, it is a competent turn-based combat system, and I find it just as enjoyable as I do in other Persona games. There are various different game modes that you'll get to fight in. Path of Kimrenu is the labyrinths you experience in Persona 5 through the subway driving your animal car. Then you have the palaces, which seem a bit bigger than the original games, but are also gated by levels, forcing you to stop your progression to level up for a few days, which is a very jarring experience, but that's a gacha game for you. Of course, there's also the energy management system where you have 240 stamina to use up in the realm of repression, which is where you farm your materials to level up, or a specific persona seal and revelation cards. These stamina mechanics are there to force players to FOMO and come back every so often because it makes players feel like they'll become inefficient if they let that stamina bar fill up, so they have to come back to the game multiple times a day. And then there's the Velvet Trials, which rewards you depending on how far you get in these challenges. So there are a lot of different content you can tackle in this game to earn different rewards, which is pretty good. Other than combat, there are a ton of different activities you can do. First is the life skills like working to earn money, and side activities to level up your social skills like knowledge and charisma. And then there are a ton of side quests to do, which I assume will require certain social skills at certain levels. You have a limited amount of action points to spend on these skills, which refresh every so often. You can also spend time with different characters to build up your bond with them to earn you more rewards and features. And then we have the Velvet Room. Luckily, the gathering and fusion of personas is still a thing. I remember fusion was one of my favorite mechanics because you could eventually create an overpowered persona by the end, and I assume you'll be able to do that here. You can collect personas a few different ways. One is a chance to recruit them after battle, another is through the realm of repression, and you can also get random ones when you do your gacha pulls. On the gacha mechanic, I think this is where P5X pretty much drops the rest of their balls. Other gacha games have started to choose different systems when it comes to pulling heroes. Ethereal Restart literally does away with a 50-50 chance to get the target hero. They also got rid of the weapon banner, as well reducing the amount of things you'd want to spend your premium currency on. So unfortunately, P5X has stuck to the old ways and left both a hero and weapon banner on the list, as well as forcing a chance to miss the targeted hero and weapon, which is a poor choice. Oh yeah, let's not forget the soundtrack.
Don't care, walking the dust off. Is that what you do? Is that all you're made of? Whatever ain't right, prove it on yourself. Revisit your act, return to parallel. Living on a guideline, been there, done that, gold up and dead. Instead of being bitter, back up, go grab your key.
They're good. So what are my final thoughts on this game? Again, mixed feelings. I think the combat is still fun, even with the changes to fit a gacha style game, which requires pulling new characters and heroes every month. I'm glad they kept the weakness exploding system, which is the best part of combat for me. The persona collecting and fusing mechanic is still amazing. I also enjoyed the life activities and leveling up social skills, but the visual aspect really holds the game back. I get they wanted to copy the looks of a 2016 game, but they didn't need to do it one-to-one. At least improve the movement of the game instead of the jarring obstacle hopping that plagued Persona 5 and Metaphor. But would I recommend playing this game? If you love the Persona games and just want more Persona in your life, then yeah, go ahead and play this game. Just don't lose your wallet in the process. But if you've never played any Atlus games before, then you'll find this experience to be very lackluster with, again, the outdated look and clunky movement, although you may enjoy the combat and Persona collecting experience. But in the end, I believe Persona 5 The Phantom X is not worth your time. Comment down below what you think, like and subscribe. I'll see you all on the next one. See ya.